democracy. Ano po? At kung ating pong papakinggan yung sinabi ni General Adan, yung tatlong bagay po, yung political dynasty, yung corruption, yung electoral reforms, meron po silang napakalinaw na pagdudugtong-dugtong. At naniniwala po ako na ito rin ang nagdudugtong ng ating mga puso, ng ating mga pusod bilang mga Pilipino. Ano ho? Ang biro ko nga ho, para po sa mga political dynasty, doon po sa mga pamilyang tumatakbo, ang pinaka-productive o pinaka-makita, ano ba ito, parang very negosyo ay ang gobyerno. Di ho ba? Lalong-lalo na ho, kapag ginawa nila family business. Patay tayo dyan. So, ngayong umaga, unti-unti na po tayong pumupunta doon po sa pinakang puntos o pinakang buod ng ating pagtitipon ngayong umaga. We now have the beloved and much admired Bishop of the Diocese of Kidapawan in Cotabato, Mindanao. He is the President of Caritas Philippines, the social justice arm of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines. He is known not only for his faith, but also for his courage and patriotism, and for the many reforms he advocates on behalf of the Filipino people, especially the poor and the marginalized. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor, and please join me in welcoming Bishop Colleen Bagaforo.
Stop corruption, no to political dynasty, yes to electoral reforms. CBCP Philippines stands in solidarity with ANIM and all those calling for an end to the pervasive corruption and political dynasties that have long plagued our beloved country. Stop corruption. This is not just a slogan. It is a moral and urgent plea for justice. Corruption is a violation of the commandment, "Thou shalt not steal." When public officials misuse their power for personal gain, they are robbing the people not just of resources, but of opportunities, dignity, and their future. Bawal ang magnakaw. The poorest among us suffer the most, forced into lives of poverty and deprivation because the wealth meant to uplift them is instead funneled into the pockets of a few. The fight against corruption is also a fight for human rights. Every act of corruption strips people of their dignity, denies them access to public services, and perpetuates systemic poverty. This is why we believe that enacting an anti-dynasty law is crucial. We estimate that if such a law is passed, it could address up to 50% of the corruption we face today. Political dynasties, with their unchecked control over vast resources, are at the heart of much of this corruption. They have turned politics into a family business, using the machinery of our government for personal enrichment rather than the public good. In response, ANIM alyansya ng nagkakaisang mamamayan will take a bold action by spearheading a people's initiative to enact an anti-dynasty law. This is a critical step in dismantling the enriched systems of power that perpetuate inequality and injustice. As followers of Christ, we are called to stand up for what is right and just. It is our Christian duty to defend the dignity of every person, to work for a society that uplifts the poor, and to ensure that the resources of our nation serve the common good. As people of faith, we are called to action. Our Christian values compel us to work towards a society that upholds justice, equality, and the dignity of every person. We must be relentless in our pursuit of a government that serves the people with integrity and compassion. Therefore, we urge our fellow Filipinos to join this movement for a meaningful change. We also call on all our national leaders to listen to the people's cry for justice and to act with integrity, courage, and commitment to genuine reform. Together, we can build a better, more just Philippines for all. The time for change is now. No to corruption. No to political dynasties. And yes to electoral reform.
Maraming salamat, Bishop Recaforo. Gaya po ng sinabi ni Bishop, corruption daw deprives us of many opportunities. Pero meron po akong i-highlight. Hindi lang po yon ang kinukuha ng korupsyon. Ang katiwalian, hinuhubaran niya tayo ng moralidad. Kung kaya ang mali ay nagiging tama. Kung kaya ang lumalaban sa katiwalian ay nagtatago. Kung kaya ang pumupuna ng mga pagdanakaw at nagnanakaw sa bayan ay nahihiya. No. Sabi ko po noon, ang paglaban sa katiwalian ay hindi lang paglaban ng mga institusyon na binigyan ng mandatong lumaban. Sabi ni Bishop, it is the Christian obligation. Dadagdagan ko po, ito ay tungkulin ng bawat mamamayan. Now, konting light po muna. Alam niyo na ho, hindi lang tayo mataray. Medyo kikay. In-stalk ko po ng maraming beses ang kanyang Facebook. Pinangarap ko po siyang makadate. At alam ko po, bawat Pilipino nangangarap na may tatayo at lalaban, magpapakitang gilas sa katiwalian. Ang ating pong susunod na magsasalita ay ang iginagalang at minamahal ng lahat, ang mayor ng Baguio City.
Yes! That's my mayor!
Naku, may kakumpetensya na ako. Hindi na ako pwedeng makipag-date. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming the Honorable Mayor of Baguio City,
Yes!
the convener of the Mayors for Good Governance. We have, please stand up and welcome Mayor Benjamin Magalong.
Nabigla naman po ako. Kasi pasensya na ho kayo, kararating ko lang ho dahil may malaking event po sa DICC and DILE together with our President. Nonetheless, I would like to greet all the conveners of ANIM. Maraming salamat po for the invitation. And all the special guests present here today. sa ating po mga kaibigan sa media. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat ulit. Before I proceed with my presentation, I just would like to clarify that the reason why we're so passionate, together with my group in Mayors for Good Governance, why are we so passionate despite for good governance and our fight against corruption? First, I would like to formally announce and clarify that I'm not running for president. I'm not running for senator. And I'm not also running for congressman. So, at least so ma-clarify po natin para mawala na po yung intriga na nakasalita lang po siya. And the reason for that is because, first of all, we would like to leave a legacy for our young generation. Because 10 years from now, 20 years from now, if we're not going to address the pervasive corruption that is now happening in this country today, I don't want our children to be suffering and they will be blaming us and asking me, Mayor, you were in the position of influence 10 years ago and you did nothing about it. I don't want to be apologizing to them and experiencing regret for the simple reason that regret is probably one of the most painful human emotions. That's the reason why now we are doing something about it. And so please allow me to proceed with my presentation. It's entitled Good Governance, A Bridge Too Far. Now that we have forthcoming election, good governance is probably one of the most abused terms now in this country by traditional and corrupt politicians. It is a very common word, but unfortunately, it's still far from our own very grasp. Napakalayo pa ho ng ating lalakbay. And that's the reason why I mentioned it as a bridge too far. But first, let me show you and share with you the words of Albert Einstein when he said, the world has become a dangerous place. Not because of evil people, but because good men do nothing about it. And I see a lot of good people here today. Good people here today who are willing to risk everything, especially their own personal security, because they believe that it is about time that we have to act now. Another word from Zig Ziglar when he said, your life is a result of the choices that you make. Sabi nga nila, the choices that we make will make or unmake us. The choices that we make will define our character, will also define our future. But if you don't like your life today, then better to make better choices now. So that is actually the background of what? Behind my presentation today. This is culled from the DOF data. In 2016, when President Duterte took over, our national debt was at 5.9 trillion pesos, accumulated for 4 decades, more than 4 decades, almost 5 decades. 5.9 trillion. After his term, aggravated by the pandemic, 11.7 trillion. In just 6 years, nadoble na ho and more than 100%. Last year, our national debt was already at 14.6 trillion pesos. This year, the projection is at 15.8 trillion pesos. But that is based on a 54:1 dollar exchange rate. Currently, our exchange rate, naglalaro na siya sa 58, 56. And about 3 days ago, I saw a data released by the Bureau of Treasury of the Department of Budget and Management. And this is the latest projection for this year. It's like this. It's not going to be 15.8 but 16.06 trillion. Next year, it will be at 17.35 trillion. And this is actually one of my first questions when I saw former Secretary Jess Stanislao of the Department of Finance. Sir, are we capable of paying our debt? Ang sabi naman niya sa akin, oo naman, Benji, kaya naman natin yan. Because there's such thing as a macroeconomic aggregates wherein financial institutions actually look at the health of our economy. But our ability to pay our debt would depend on our ability to manage our leakages. What are those leakages? A big chunk of those leakages actually goes to corruption, which we estimate around 18 to 20% of our national budget. But how do they do it? Paano nila ginagawa? Akala natin millions, hundreds of millions ang nawawala. Sometimes when you talk about corruption, you think it's just a concept. Pag sinabi mong isa sa concept, it doesn't at all bother us. But if we see figures, based on my own experience, showing it, especially to different groups, young people, even to people in my own kind, local government officials, sa kanila nare-realize na, kailangan na palang natin gumalaw. Yung ibang mga kabataan, alam yung sagot sa akin, sana sakalin na lang natin sila. Sure. 2023 figure. This is actually data taken from the GAA. 2023, and thank you very much to Mayor JR because he exposed me sa budgeting. He's the president of the Center for, or CEO, Center for National Budget. Siya po talaga nagpaintindi sa akin tulad ng ginawa niya kay Senator Lacson at kay Congressman Romy Ako. Ipinasa po siya sa akin. Finally, I understood. I started to understand our national budget. Last year, we paid 582 billion pesos alone for interest to pay our national debt. Hindi po nababawasan yung ating principal. The year after, look at it, big difference, huge difference. 582 went up to 670, that's 90 billion pesos. 670 billion pesos. And for us to be able to reduce our national debt, ang dapat babayaran natin this year should be around, next slide, 1.241 trillion. So saan natin kukunin ang 1.241 trillion? If you look at the GAA, tatlo po yung major parts ng GAA. The regular budget or regular appropriations, the special purpose fund, which is usually yung regular appropriation, yun po yung sinasabit ng mga department heads. Yung special purpose fund is actually, many of these are unprogrammed funds, but to be released upon the approval of the President. And then, of course, the automatic appropriations. Kaya nakita nyo, nandiyan ho yung NTA, National Debt, pati ho yung ating BARB, which is receiving about 70 billion pesos. If you look at all these figures here, wala po kayo makikitang 1.241 trillion. Kasi wala po tayo niyan. Ibig sabihin, itong utang na ito, uutangin uli natin ito, pabayad lang po rito. Dadagdagan pa natin And it's very unfortunate na yung dinadagdag pa natin sa uutangin natin, majority of that goes to someone's pocket. And it's not in millions. It's not in hundreds of millions, but in billions of pesos. And don't be surprised when I say yung billion of pesos napupunta lang sometimes or in several instances sa isang politiko lang. Every year, isang politiko lang. And I had the chance to talk to several, colleagues of these types of politicians na sinasabi, alam mo, Mayor Benji, sasabihin ko sa iyo, dati-rati 10% lang. And no less than Secretary Babe Singson admitted to me, Mayor Benji, pinay ko lang talaga sila sa 10%. And former congressmen who are now governors, sinasabi nila sa Mayor Benji, when we were 10% lang naman talaga. Ngayon, umakyat na sa 25%. Pero lately, 30% na, 40% na. Can you just imagine? 30, 40%. It's like this. How are they doing it? Classic case. You see this all over the Cordillera. This one of those pictures along Cannon Road. The famous or infamous rock netting project, or we usually call it the rock fall protection projects. Both active and passive. Ito po yung meron pong stud, ito po yung active na type. Then I'll show you another one. Ito po yung papunta naman sa Nueva Vizcaya. Next. Ito naman yung isang klase na rock screening naman to. This is passive type. Ito po yung walang stud. So I asked data from the implementing agency, the PWH, can you give me a copy of the contract as chairman of the regional RDC committee on good governance and administration? Binigyan ho ako ng link. Balik mo muna, please. Binigyan ho ako ng link. For 1 week po, binuksan ho namin yung link, wala po kami makitang kontrata or anything whatsoever that would relate to this. Until finally, I got tired and I asked the RDC chairman, Mr. Chair, can we compel and request our RDC secretary to conduct a study on the rock netting projects in the entire Cordillera region? Tapos nila yung kanilang report ng August. I got a copy, first week of October. It's a 17-page report. This is approximately 1 square meter. Let me show you how much it cost. That was in page 9 of that document. Next slide, please. This is page 9. You could see 25,000 pesos per square meter. In 2018, it was at 17,000 pesos. Noong 2020, I remember when we had that public hearing, city council hearing, sa city council ng Baguio, some of our councilors asked the PWH engineer, how much is the rock netting project? Sabi nila, 14,000 pesos per square meter. That was in 2020. And then, I raised my hand, and the Vice Mayor said, oh, let's acknowledge the Mayor. And I asked, Engineer, mukha yatang hindi yata 14,000. I believe it is 18,000. Hindi sir, 14,000 yan. And then I told them, Mr. Chair, I have a copy of the contract. And the contract says it's 18,000 per square meter. Or 17,000 per square meter, rather. And then finally, sabi nun, nagtinginan yung mga engineers, oo nga pala sir, 7,000, 10,000. But now it's at 20,000 5,000 pesos. Now, let me go back po doon sa picture na yun. Let me go back po doon sa picture para at least suma-visualize nyo. I came from Steel Asia, the biggest steel company in the Philippines. So I was very fortunate to be the Senior Vice President for Operation. And I had this estimated. Ang sabi ko sa akin, Sir, kung yan, estimate namin, bigyan po ko itemized na estimate, including the stud. Ito, walang stud. It's around 6,000 pesos. 6,000 pesos. And then, last month, a member of the Philippine Institute of Civil Engineers approached me. Sabi niya, Mayor, I was in Zamboanga when you did a presentation on good governance, and you showed us pictures of the rock netting projects in the Cordillera. Yes? Meron po sana akong i-correct po doon sa figure nyo, lalo na doon sa cost. Ganun ba? Nagkamali pala ako. Oh, Mayor, hindi po 6,000. So, ano yung figure dapat pala? 4,300 po. Paano mo alam? Kami po yung mga nagsusupply dun sa mga private na mga projects. Next slide, please. This is the last page of the 17-page report. Please take note, just to give you a background. The entire rock netting project, hindi Cordillera pa lang ho ito, iba pa ho yung sa ibang lugar. I've been going around, sinasabi nila sa akin, meron din sa Bicol, meron din sa Region 2, meron din sa Mindanao, meron din po sa Visayas. Sa Cordillera pa lang ito. I thought all along is 5 billion pesos. And I was really surprised. Please, yung figure po rito, dagdagan nyo natin ng 3 0. I was really surprised that the total cost 2017 to 2023 was at 14.6 billion pesos. Please take note that the group of politicians, corrupt politicians, took over in 2020. When I say took over, they took over as simply took over. So in 2017, kita nyo rito, Abra, Baguio, Benguet, lahat po yan. Ang total number of projects po niya is 448 rock netting projects. Parang ganun yan, 400 something. Nandun sa report. The total cost in 2017 started with 1 billion, went up to 2.5, 1.5 in 2009. When they took over, in 2020, it went up to 4.8 billion. Following year, it was at 11.3 billion. It went up to 16.6 trillion. Dito sana sa mataas pa yata ito, dapat ito mga 12 billion yata ito sa 2023. Kaya lang, if you remember when I started talking about the corruption, in July 2023, nahinto yung mga rock netting projects temporarily. Kaya 8.7 na lang po. If you add these 4 years, that's about 41.5 billion pesos. Ngayon, eto po yun. Lumapit po sa akin mga contractor. Mayor, pagod na ho kami. Bakit pagod na kayo? Pagod na ho kami sa kadi-deliver ho ng pera sa kanila. Cash sa kanila. How much are you? Magkano bang kinukuha sa inyo? Ngayon, 40%. How do you deliver it? So in luggage. In luggage. Cash. Sabi ko sa kanila, ilan pa kayong contractor? Ngayon, hindi naman po kami mga contractor eh. Ano kayo? Subcontractor kami. So, sino yung contractor? Sila po. Sino pa lang nagsusupply sa inyo? They mentioned to me the company name. Sino yung may-ari nitong kumpanya na to? Sila rin po. So, assuming they're getting 40% and they're the contractor, conservatively, a profit of 10% and another 10% a supplier, conservatively, 60% taken from 41 billion pesos. That's around 24 billion pesos pocketed, going to the pockets of politicians and government officials. Magkano ang kinikita ng isang media personality na lang na nandito? Swerte na siguro kung may kinita sila 1,000 o 1,005. Yung tricycle driver, 400, 500. Yung vendor, 500, 400. Yung jeepney driver, 600, 700. Many of these people are earning $500,000 pesos every day without paying any tax. Without paying, and no accountability whatsoever. Is that the kind of society that we're going to pass on to the next generation? Yan ho ba ipapamana natin? If we are good men and we do nothing about it. Next slide, please. Do I still have time? Okay lang po ba? Just to take me another 10 minutes pa, okay lang po. And because of the corruption, look at what happened. Like a road na ho. Another slide. That's what happened. Still, wala pa rin ho nag-conduct na investigation. Wala rin ho congressional investigation man lang. Nakakalungkot na billions and billions of pesos. Instead, na sana ito ang tututukan nila, iba naman yung interest nila na pinag-uusapan sa mga kanilang mga investigation. Next slide. Another is, you're probably familiar with this, the infamous Cat's Eye project. Safety devices, road safety devices. Kasi ang paborito ho nilang mga projects, first, flood control, road opening, asphalt overlay, at ito pong mga road safety devices. Paano ko malalaman? Yun po yung sinasabi sa akin ng mga contractor mismo. So this is the cat's eye. And every piece of that, meron pong tinatawag na detailed unit price analysis. Just to justify the cost of each unit. Lalagyan mo nila next. Ayaw ko akong bigyan nito, kaya nagawa ko na lang po is naghanap po ako ng source ko at ito po yung pinadala sa akin. Detailed unit price analysis, DUPA. Mga engineers, pamilyar po kayo dyan, mga contractors na nandito. So dyan ho nila lahat, ipapato ho nila lahat, at skilled labor, kung ano nilalagay dyan, just to justify. Next slide, please. Please take note, 143 by 47 millimeter ho yung one. Yan o. And the cost is 11,720 per unit. So what I did was to get in touch with a legitimate supplier. The first thing that I asked him is, padala mo muna ako, pwede padala nyo muna ako ng certification na kayo po yung legitimate at pumasa po yung standard. Pinadala po sa akin. Pinirmahan po mismo ni Secretary ng DPWH. And then, I asked for a quotation. Bibili kami ng mga 100 pieces, sabi ko. And he sent me this quotation. 143 by 47, 1,350 pesos. Sabi ko, bakit naman napakamahal ng butas? In-inspect ko naman yung butas eh. Sabi niya, 200 lang actually yan eh. Pero ginawa ko ng dinagdagang 500 para naman doon sa mga contractor at trabahador. Another 246 for the VAT, that's about 1,900. It's 11,720 minus 1,900. That's about 9,800 pesos. I just don't know kung ilan pong millions ang binili kasi it's all over the country. It's all over the country. Millions for every million na binili, that's 9.8 billion pesos pocketed. 2 billion, that's almost 20 billion pesos. Or 2 million rather. But its number of pieces was in millions of pieces. Just to justify din na marami dapat ang o-orderin, ang standard po yan, ni-research ko po yan, ang standard ko between two cat's eye is 10 meters. Sinukat ko yung nilagay ho nila sa Session Road, sa Marcos Highway, it's 5 meters. At pwede naman dahil hindi naman kailangan para mas maraming makoveran ito. Pwede naman sa gitna lang, okay naman po. Ang ginawa nila, nilagyan nila yung gitna, nilagyan pa yung gilid, dalawa. Kaya ang ganda-ganda ng mga kalsada namin papunta sa Baguio. And thus, finally, I realized it's not detailed unit price analysis. It's actually detailed unit profit analysis. Next slide, please. Hindi pa ho yan ginawa nila. Because they control the budget. Kinuha nila yung AIX. Kami sa local government, every time we have a workshop, nalulungkot kami na halos magmalimos kami para makakuha kami ng AIX. Pero they control their AIX, which is not part of their function. Kinuha pa nila yung financial assistance for those experiencing crisis situation. Kinuha nila yung MAIP, may medical assistance for indigent patients. Kinuha pa ho nila yung TUPAD. Ito naman yung work for cash. Pati ho ba naman scholarship ng TESDA at CHED, kinuha pa rin ho. Hindi pa ho sila nagsawa. Kinuha pa ho nila pati AKAP. At pinapamigay din nila, ina-attempt pa nilang bigay sa mga media, pumirma kayo, fill out na form. Mabuti na lang sabi ng DSWD, qualify. Because ito na lang, self-explanatory, ayuda para sa mga kapos. As I mentioned a while ago, this is the politician. He gets 25 to 40%. Hindi pa nagsawa. Siya pa yung contractor, siya pa yung supplier. Triple whammy na ho lahat. Kaya ho, sinabi nga ho nila, alam mo ba, nawala na ho ang kwan eh. Nawala na ho yung SOP. Sabi ko, good news pala yan, nawala na SOP. Oh, kasi sila na eh. Sa kanila na ho lahat eh. So nawala na ho yung SOP. I challenge you, make an inventory. Make an inventory. Ilan na ho ang contractors? Ilan na ho ang contractors? Yung visible na contractor, iba pa ho yung mga kamag-anak ang contractor, yung misis ang contractor, o yung anak ang contractor. At the end of the day, sila pa rin ang contractor. Sila pa rin ang supplier. Nakakalungkot na kumisan sa mga ibang mga local government units, yung price of medicine, kailangan magpatong yung mga suppliers ng 22%, 18%, 22% para makuha lang yung tip. Next slide, please. Kindly click lang. Isa-isa lang i-click. Let me show you based on a revelation of a contractor. How do for every project, magkano talaga ang naiiwan? I'll show you in percentage. Next slide. Next, click this. Don't click. Distribution of a project fund. Next. The politician gets 25 to 40%. So let us put it at 30% average. Then VAT is 7%. Insurance and bond is 1%. So 38% na ho. Next, sandali lang. Implementing agency, go back. Gets 10 to 15%. Depende sa region. So let's say average is 12% for easy computation. That's already 30 plus, that's already 50%. Pero meron pa ho sa back. 2 to 3%. So 52% na ho. Meron pa ho sa contingency. Yung mga mag-i-inspect na engineers, bago i-release yung cheque, meron na naman ibibigay uli. May mga namamatayan, kunwari, may mga nagkakasakit uli, hingi dito, pagkain, lahat. Another 3%, that's already 55%. So 55% na po ang nakuha doon sa budget. Total 55%. Now, magkano na lang ho natira? 45%. Kasama na ho yung profit ho ng contractor. Assuming na yung contractor may sense of nationalism, 10% na lang kukunin niya.